I think any business, any white collar business that's not seeing a way to implement AI into their daily activities to a more whether that's enabling a live AI chatbot on their website to answer questions directly, or have a serious infrastructure change with what they're doing, are really going to start feeling it over the next 5 years or so. How can they not?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Shaheen Samavati, co-host of the Content Mix podcast, brought to you by multilingual content marketing agency Vera Content. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, Marty Englander. Welcome, Marty.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Marty is an Essex-based entrepreneur with a popular YouTube channel and TikTok account where he shows small and medium-sized businesses how to automate their business systems so they can be more productive and less stressed. So over the past 2 years, he's extensively reviewed AI writing tools. So I'm really excited to talk with him today about his results with these tools, as well as his experience with ChatGPT, which has basically taken the world by storm since coming out in November of last year, thanks to its remarkably human-sounding responses to complex questions and prompts. So, Marty, I'm really excited to talk to you about this with your experience. And I've also been exploring a lot of these tools. So I think there's a lot of interesting things to touch on. But to start out, could you just share your perspective? Like, why is everyone suddenly talking about OpenAI and ChatGPT?
So I think once content creators discovered ChatGPT, they started marketing it on TikTok, because it's kind of like, oh my God, this tool does everything for you. And they really emphasized on kind of like the lazy aspect of humanity, where you don't need to write essays anymore because you can just enter a question and it does it all for you. But also, we said previously in a conversation that the humanize aspect of it, where it really is kind of like a personal assistant, where you just put information in, ask it a question, and it will just respond like that, and it's so accurate. And I think once TikTokers, because the virality on TikTok is just crazy at the moment, so once that started going off on TikTok, a lot of content creators started focusing on students, and how students can actually use the tool. And I think once students started utilizing the tool, media outlets started thinking students cheating on tests and all sorts, and across the board it just really blew up in that way. That's why I think it's really popped. And then obviously you got Microsoft investing in it, and it's all it really lends itself to virality on social media, because it's this tool that's totally free, anyone can use it, and they can just get on there and put in something and then get some crazy AI responses. And it's a really easy way to create social media content. And it's it's really shocking and surprising. So it's easy to see why it became so viral. That's definitely how I first heard about it. Like influencers that I follow, putting stuff in the ChatGPT and seeing, and everyone was making their episode, with that. Seeing what ChatGPT would tell them in some response to some question. It was quite alarming to see just how popular it became, because I know on my TikTok channel I started creating content about ChatGPT, but previously I was already talking about AI writing softwares, but different ones. And then every ChatGPT video I posted was getting like thousands upon thousands, even some with 100,000 plus views. And I realized, this is actually, something that's going to change everything.
Yeah, totally. So so you've been kind of testing AI writing tools before it was cool. You've been
no, they've always been cool. They've always been cool. But
before people knew how cool they were, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because it's been 2 years, we were saying, I mentioned in the intro.
Yeah, so I make money through being an affiliate marketer. So I'm always looking for opportunities, new products that are coming out on the market, but also as someone who gets bored really easily by doing the same tedious tasks in business every day. I'm always looking for ways I can streamline and speed up my processes. But then once I've really started looking into it, I realized, yeah, there's something here. And then I saw the direction that Jasper, or whatever they were called at the time, were going in. And I realized, oh, actually, no, this is something new. This can replace everything from search engines to writing to workflows to all of it. It's something new, and I just really enjoyed using it as well. So
yeah. So before that, you were reviewing like other tools for kind of business process automation with a focus on content creation.
Yes. So I was reviewing all different sorts of softwares. I was also, because previously I was running a digital agency called Rent SEO, which is kind of still going, but I don't really take on new clients. It's just with existing clients now. And I kind of got, because I'm somewhat introverted, I kind of got really tired of clients constantly asking me the same questions over and over. And it didn't matter if I automated my systems to the point where, well, here's a video to explain it. They needed that hand-holding sort of thing. So I thought to myself, what if I start releasing these videos online? And that's kind of how it all grew. I thought to myself, wow, instead of just one person, I can reach hundreds of thousands of people in an instant, sort of thing.
Yeah. And it seems like you really touched on a niche, because I don't see a lot of other people who have gone to the depth that you have in terms of like testing these kinds of tools.
So it's funny. So I also work alongside my father's business as an he owns an accountancy firm. And so as his business grew, and I saw all the troubles that a traditional hardworking business owner, small, medium-sized business owner went through. And often it gets to the point where they're doing everything themselves. So I kind of realized that actually small, medium-sized business owners, they've not really got the budget to invest in heavy materials or invest in big marketing strategies and what's not, because for SEO it can take like 6 months to a year just to start seeing any sort of payback. It's one of those iffy areas, but obviously they don't understand that because they need those immediate results. So I thought to myself, well, if I target people like my father, who is the DIY intelligent business owner who doesn't want to do everything themselves, but kind of need to in a way.
And they understand the potential for digital marketing.
Yeah. So let me make your life easier by helping you automate your stuff out the window, sort of thing, in the nicest way. But really, with AI, stuff can learn AI and really become an asset to a company. But yeah, and I kind of just developed from there. And I also just really enjoy going into new softwares, checking them out, seeing what they can do. And yeah, there's softwares are just great. They just are. Well, totally. Some of them anyway.
Yeah. So, and like you've been using these tools to automate, I guess, your own businesses as well.
Oh yeah. So I have like systems in place where I have different YouTube channels. I have freelancers creating videos for me, uploading it to, let's say, a Dropbox folder, and then from that, those video titles implement AI writing, which will spin the titles, the descriptions, the tags. It will then be automatically uploaded to YouTube and scheduled out.
Yeah,
and they don't know that. So it really is, and that saves a ton of time, especially if you've got like 10, 15 freelancers uploading 10, 15 videos a day. So I no longer need to optimize every single video because the AI does. Yeah,
very cool. So going back to the topic of ChatGPT and you had been like, before ChatGPT, basically, there were these AI writing tools that were based on the GPT API from OpenAI. And I'm curious, basically, why would anyone buy those tools now that we have ChatGPT that is free to access? I guess that's the question.
It's a good question. And the reason why is workflow.
Mhm.
So ChatGPT is very conversational, but if you wanted to streamline those processes, you still need to keep on entering commands. So if we take, let's say, a blog post, you want to write a 3,000 word blog post. Now, usually the way you would break down blog post creation is you'll get the main topic, you'll create lots of subtitles and headings and what's not, and then you'll break it down to the point where you're answering each subtitle heading, and that takes a load off. With ChatGPT, if you're going to do that, yes, you can say, write me an outline of a blog, but then you've still got some form of formatting issues there, which is still a bit of a pain. Okay, so remember, if specifically for businesses or my target market, time is money. So you want a tool that's going to kind of not need you to break down every single little part of the writing process, and then the issue with formatting it all as well. Yeah. However, if you're using, let's say, a tool like Jasper or Writer, I'm going to kind of lean just towards Jasper because I still think they're well ahead of everyone else. They have templates involved where you put in the title or whatever you want, click a button, and it takes you through the journey. You don't need to do that thinking. You don't need to learn the extra commands. It just takes you through the software's telling you what to do, basically. ChatGPT doesn't do that as such.
Yeah, like they say, like the quality of what you get out is only as good as the quality of what you put in terms of the prompt. And there's even like there's even people now who are like prompt consultants or something.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a guy, his name on Facebook. He's actually the affiliate of the head affiliate of Jasper, and he's obviously seen predicting where this is going, and he's created a massive directory of prompts and AIs, and no doubt he'll make very good money after that in good time. But he's really fanatical about it now.
Yeah. And I know there are like these there's like, you can use like what do you call that, like a Google Chrome extension to like save all your prompts. But that means you have to like think of all your possible use cases. And well, I guess as you go, you would keep on saving them. But I guess if using a tool like Jasper, you wouldn't need to do that. You'd have like a lot of like the most common situations, there would already be prompts for them essentially, where you would just be putting in your details, but it would be directing the tool to do it, to do what you need.
That's another thing, the difference between ChatGPT and more business oriented tools, which is Jasper has things called custom recipes. So if you do reviews, you literally just enter the recipe, you save it, and then you can click on that template. So it's like your own little template inside the software, and you can just keep on going like that. So yeah, it's definitely just streamlining processes, which to me is the difference between the two.
Yeah. Well, I think like it's basically been a couple of years since this API for this GPT technology was opened up. And since then, like hundreds of apps have been built around this. And I think it's a little bit overwhelming to figure out like which ones are worth trying out. Like, how did you decide which ones to review, which ones to explore further? And how do we know which ones are actually good versus like that might be gone tomorrow? Because I think also a lot of these are kind of in testing mode as well. So.
Yeah, I think it's all in the eye of the beholder, really. It's kind of, I've had so many people say to me, Marty, why should I use Jasper over Writer? Why should I use Writer over Writer Cream? Why should I use this over Copy AI? And the truth is that they all basically use the same foundations, but it's like, what is it you actually want the tool for? Now, obviously, I want to write with it, but to what extent? Do you want a tool that's going to be more of a personal assistant to you? Or do you want a tool that's going to do it for you? Because then that can really, say, hey, well, actually, does Writer do it all for you? Not to the same extent as, let's say, Copy AI or Jasper. Or do you need something that's more business orientated? Well, then you're really looking at Jasper. And do you need something with Teams or not? And again, that's a different, So you've got to say, what is it I actually need it for? And being realistic, how much am I going to be using it? And then you can really make that decision. And in terms of me, what at the time when I first started getting into it, there was only one product on the market at the time, which was it was Conversion or Jasper right now. And then very quickly, the popularity of Jasper got out and everyone started creating them. But for me, it was kind of like, it was kind of like, oh, this new software's just come out. Okay, well, I'll try that one. I'll try that one. I'll try that one. And now I probably get maybe close to 5 new emails a week from new software companies who've just released their own writing software saying, can you review our software, sort of thing. And I'm kind of like, I no longer want to keep on reviewing it because I kind of get it. And I've also built my own internal one as well. So I use a whole combination of different writing tools for different things, sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. So you've become kind of an expert in a few tools and you prefer to keep creating content around that versus every new tool that comes out.
That's it. However, if you're someone who's moving into the world of AI writing and you really like, right, where do I start? Well, first ask yourself what you want it for, truly want it for. And then, just type in AI writing and go through the links. Most of them have got free trials. So see what you're comfortable with, see.
But that has been a concern for me, like having an agency. If I were to use one of these tools in my business processes and then then maybe they don't exist in a couple of years, that would be like a pain to have to implement something else later. So like trying to choose something that is kind of established and has the track record, I guess.
Well, I think you can kind of have some reassurance knowing that the AI writing market now is pretty competitive. So the ones that you discover are probably the ones that are treating it like a business and not a cash generator. And yeah, so, and also you go online and you can look for reviews and, you'll see people like me talking about it, yeah. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, Jasper is interesting because they've been around the longest, like you mentioned, and they have developed like a lot of tools that seem to be targeted specifically at marketers. Which actually I was going to ask you, because I think that's one thing to consider. If you're an individual writer, you might choose one tool versus if you're a marketing department, you might consider something a little more complex, because Jasper, for example, is like the most expensive tool that I've seen, I think, in terms of price.
It's not cheap, especially the boss mode. But there's good reason for that, because also when you do start diving into the world of this sort of automation for your content creation or whatever, you want to be part of a community that can give you ideas and really help you use those tools. And from what I've seen, the community of Jasper, some of the information that some of the people in there give is you would expect to pay good money for. But they just give it and they just share their case studies. You've got people who have become bestsellers on Amazon books that they've written entirely from using tools like Jasper. You've got hardcore marketing experts who, generate stupid money online, but are in that group connecting with people. It really is a very powerful community that is definitely important to be part of if you're joining these sort of softwares. Yeah.
And I was curious, like from your experience, how much editing does an AI produced article typically need, and how much time does this actually save you?
Okay, so when I first started off, I thought it was taking me longer than just writing it out, because you're like, because you're getting to know the software, it's like, oh, what commands do I put in? And it's like, oh no, that's not right. And, but now I would say I could probably churn out a 3,000 word blog in about 30 minutes, as opposed to it taking me probably about a day and a half.
Yeah, because that's about the time you need to read through it, that long of an article.
Exactly. And because So I across all my videos when I'm showing people about AI writing tools, I say you want to apply the 80-20 rule. 80% of the heavy lifting of the bulk sum of writing should be done by the writing tool. 20% should be you fact checking and just making sure it flows correctly and humanizing it a little bit more. Although now I've kind of discovered that if you just tell the software to write in a certain tone, or say write in the style of Iron Man or whoever, it will. So you can add that human element in. So the more, what I'll say is that when you're first getting started, it will take you much longer. But then if you really become proficient with understanding which commands to use, and also understanding how to write on a fundamental level as well, because if you don't know how to break down a blog, then you're going to be spending longer anyway. But these tools do help you do that, because you can tell by the templates that they offer and the way that they do it, So just to give you an example, going back to the blog, if you're writing a blog, you say, right, give me 5 ideas about a blog idea, and then it will do that. And then you say, right, create a blog outline about this idea. It'll do that. Expand on this, it'll do that. Give me references for this, it will do that. And do you see how fast that becomes?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of mentioning that when I first tested, I was starting to look at some of these tools like a year ago, and I tested a couple of them, and I just didn't see like how I could implement that in my business, because it seemed like it was going to take as much or more work to like fix the results that came out of it than just writing it from scratch. Obviously, especially since in my company, we work with, we all have writing backgrounds. It's like we work with professional writers who write very fast. So the tool would have to be incredible to be able to really save them much time, because they're already very fast. But I think now the results that I'm seeing from these kinds of tools and from ChatGPT obviously is like on a whole nother level than where it was a year ago. And that's incredible.
And we also need to remember that the more we write in the higher quality tools, the more it understands your tone of voice and your writing patterns as well, because it's learning from your inputs. So the more you do, the better your outputs are going to get. Even if you're not proficiently learning all the right commands and everything, if you keep writing in your style, it's going to pick up on that and output your style back at you. So that's a big thing. But
I think that's one thing that is not totally consistent on yet, but it'd be interesting to see how, because sometimes you put in the same prompt and you get like very different style results. And it's like, it's actually baffling. Like, how does that even work? And obviously, like in the kind of work that we do for brands, it's like really important to stay like on tone and everything. But I think for me right now, the most interesting potential is that, like, I think as a writer, sometimes you just like don't know what to write. So it's really cool that you
getting past the block. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So you don't have to think about it. It just gives you something, and then you can work with that. And maybe in my case, I've always like completely changed it because even when I write something myself, I write it once and then I change it 10 times, but I think that not having to come up with that initial thing, that it gives you something, a basis to start with. It's good for like idea generation, great for getting your thoughts organized and stuff, and kind of having like using it as a writing assistant essentially. I think
but that's exactly what it is for me anyway, a lot of the time, because like you, I wanted to have a bit of Marty in all my writings, which I probably don't write at your level, truth be told, but I do a lot of content creation. I actually created a video about 12 months of using AI, and I was showcasing results, because I focus on content creation for purely traffic generation, and I utilize that on social media platforms like Quora, for example. My general idea was, if I spend 1 hour per day using AI answering people's questions, can I generate a traffic source, a good quality one? And I spent 24 days reaching the goal of 10,000 views from a brand new account. And then 6 months down the line, I had a notification from Quora saying my content has reached over 50 million news feeds.
Wow.
And I didn't log back into the account since. So, and that's kind of the stuff that I also focus on. That's where I really enjoy doing stuff like that. So
Yeah,
AI,
and you
yeah,
like chronicled that whole experience, I think, on your YouTube
I did.
channel.
Yes, I did. I recorded the entire process. I tried to leave it as raw as possible. And the aim was just 10,000 views in 30 days. I reached that in 24 days.
So, well, what other types of AI tools are you using besides the writing tools that we've already talked about?
So at the moment, let me think.
Because we were talking about transcription actually before we started recording, transcription tools,
Yes.
voiceover tools, and things like that. And well, I don't know if other parts of your process that you think are kind of would be interesting for maybe marketers listening who might want to implement other types of AI tools in there.
Sure. So
processes.
AI image generators at the moment, what I'm doing with them is I am bulk creating images, uploading them to platforms like Adobe Stock, and then they just sell the images, and that's quite fun. I've started experimenting more and more with what I was saying to you was the voice, the training AI to pick up on your voice, so then it actually outputs your voice. No matter you put text in, it outputs your voice, but it's not robotic, it's in your voice. That's quite scary.
So there's like a few tools out there that are like for human sounding voices for your voiceovers, but this is a tool that actually does that with you train it to sound like you.
Yes. So one of those tools can be I've got all my speech is awful. Synthesia, I think it is. They do stuff like that. Also, I've been playing around. It's not so much AI, but the reason I think it's relevant is because it allows non-tech people to learn a little bit of programming, which will allow them to integrate AI at stupid money, like nothing. We're talking about pennies, and that's no code applications. So things like Bubble. If you have a basic knowledge, a very, very fundamental knowledge of programming, you can develop your own in-house tools from CRM systems that integrate AI, text to live chatbots, all of that stuff. So and that requires no code at all. Hence, no code. that's what it's called.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like practically any business application that's worth its salt is somehow implementing AI into the software. So even for those people
to look that way, yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of the tools we're using, at least they're like announcing they're going to have a new AI feature. So it looks like everyone is kind of just, I mean, I think to stay relevant, like pretty much every piece of software is going to start integrating.
You've got to adapt. You said it yourself, like during COVID, you started your podcast and everything, and you've just got to. If a physical business can no longer do things, well, the next evolution to that, if you don't want to go out of business, is going online and making that work. And it's no surprise that a lot of my assets started booming over COVID, so whilst most businesses started to struggle, mine really started to thrive because I was already showing businesses how to automate, but the only difference here is that they now saw purpose to learning it rather than, just.
All right. So for those people who aren't using AI tools yet, how much longer can they afford to wait?
I think it depends on the individual or the business. So I know AI writing tools had a really strong focus on writers and marketing firms, but the best way I can answer this, I think, is actually just sharing a really short thing that's just happened to me recently to show that it's actually across the board. And my wife ordered some made-to-measure MDF supplies from an online website, which I think were the salespeople. I think they were drop shipping or doing some sort of middleman management sort of thing. And she realized that she ordered the wrong made-to-measure stuff. So we contacted them and said, look, can we cancel or change the order? Within an hour of ordering, and it was at night as well, they said no. They replied the next morning saying, no, it's too late, sorry. So we said, but we've got a 14-hour cancellation period. a 14-day cancellation period. It says on your website that's not applicable to made to measure stuff. So I thought that was a bit iffy. I mean, obviously being the needy customer who doesn't know anything legal at all, but I thought that was a bit, come on, we ordered in an hour. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, what are the legislations or the laws about, cancelling an order, what are my rights, sort of thing. So he said, yeah, you have a 14-day cancellation period unless it's made to measure. So I said, oh, can you find me a reference for that? Yeah, and show me the URL for the official UK government website. And it did exactly that. And it was true. We don't have a leg to stand on. So we just had to accept it. But if I was to go to a solicitor or someone, how much would they have charged me for that? And how long would it have taken me? It would have charged me like £150 for a really quick, simple answer. And it probably would have taken about 48 hours to get an answer. And they may not have actually, because I think solicitors and barristers talk a different line, doctors all talk a different language to simpletons like me anyway. So it would have cost an absolute fortune and tons of time. And then I probably wouldn't have understood the answer that it gave me. But ChatGPT gave me it in a simplified way. They gave me the reference and it happened within less than a minute.
Amazing.
So, yeah, and this is the thing. So I think any business, any white collar business that's not seeing a way to implement AI into their daily activities to a more whether that's enabling a live AI chatbot on their website to answer questions directly, or have a serious infrastructure change with what they're doing, are really going to start feeling it over the next 5 years or so. How can they not? Yeah, I don't, because now I use ChatGPT as a daily assistant. It's like having an army of people in any field, a specialized army of people in any field, answering me straightforward, non-agenda, well, at the moment, non-agenda responses. How can, I don't know how once the simpleton people like me really start using ChatGPT, because Microsoft has incorporated it into Bing and they're now incorporating it into Teams. So teachers are going to start using this more and more. So non-tech people are really going to start learning this. So I think it's across the board, really across the board. I think people need to start integrating this or learning about it to see how they can utilize this best for their customers and for their business, because it's coming. It's not going anywhere. This is like the new Google sort of thing. Google is threatened. They've recently just done a red announcement, which is like, no, we need to act. And then they tried launching their new AI replica of ChatGPT called Bard, I think it was, which then failed miserably. But this is coming to every single business without trying to scare businesses, because it can be an amazing tool for you as well. So getting the fundamentals in place, it's going to cost you a lot if you don't utilize it properly.
Yeah. And as we were kind of saying before, like, this is going to become mainstream. So I guess one option is to wait until it becomes mainstream, and you're going to end up using it anyway. But there's obviously advantages to being an early adopter. And
very much so. Well, you're not playing catch up. Like, you're just not playing catch up. So a lot of my systems and integrations now, most people will start discovering them in the next couple of years. And that's not me bragging, saying, hey, look at me. It's just I'm this weird nerd guy online who somehow makes a semi-okay living reviewing software. So, I've somehow developed all of these systems, and it's going to be a few years yet before businesses will be able to get up to par with those systems. So definitely being ahead of the game is a massive advantage, because you're always going to be ahead of everyone else if you start learning it all now. And it can be frustrating, especially if you're not tech savvy and everything. But I mean, I don't know how to code, but I asked ChatGPT to develop me a WordPress plugin that will automatically find images on Google related to the keyword of the blog post title and insert it after every 500 images when I click publish. And I didn't know any code, and it developed it for me. So yeah,
Wow.
do you see? Yeah, I know it's next level stuff. It really, really is. So yeah, if you're a business owner and you're not playing around with ChatGPT, just incorporate, instead of using it for your business to start off with, incorporate it into just your daily life. If you need a food recipe, you got food in the fridge and you don't know what to make, type in the ingredients into ChatGPT and it will show you, and then that will start broadening what you can do with ChatGPT for your business. But it's always scary integrating this sort of technology, but it's coming. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to get more and more. And you don't want to be phased out. You don't want your customers to know more about what you do than because they've got tools like ChatGPT. So yeah.
Totally. And now's a good time to play with it while it's still free.
Absolutely. Well, so as of this morning, they have been rolling out a paid plan. They say they're always going to keep it free, but all that means is that their free version is just going to get slower and slower, and more limited. I think I just subscribed to it this morning to $20 a month, and that's in the UK. But that gives you faster outputs, and a few other. You can tweak the model that you're using as well. So
and you don't get blocked out, I guess, with the
you've got instant access. There is no waiting time. I was literally just playing with it before we started talking, and the outputs are much faster. Instant access, you're not locked out ever because of high demand. You've got priority all the time. So it's for $20, it's if it's feasible, it's definitely worth it.
Sounds like it. Yeah, totally. Well, I guess to wrap up the conversation, could you tell us about what do you think is coming next for AI applications? What are you excited about for the future?
I think video is going to be the next big thing. I think I can't remember if it's OpenAI or it might be OpenAI. I'm not sure, but I've just joined a waiting list for something which allows you to. We've already kind of got something like it, but it's not AI. It's something else. But you input some text and it creates full blown videos, whether that's typography style videos, that's animated videos. But the difference here is that you can literally say, right, I want scene 1 to do this, scene 2 to do this, scene 3 to do this. I want you to create the text for me, the sales pitch for me. And I think I definitely think video and AI is going to blow up once that becomes. It's already here, but once it gets released into mainstream, I think that's going to be something really exciting, especially if you can create your own personalized avatars with your own personalized voice. It's going to be the potential, I mean, I know I used to sell corporate videos and all sorts to businesses and what's not. And we developed like a little TV station, and we used to charge like £1,000 plus for a video to be made about the business. But this, and it used to take like, a full day of going down, recording and stuff like that. It's going to do it all for you. That's
already for editing, there's a lot of interesting tools, but you see
silence detection, all sorts.
There's actually, you can see there's people who have YouTube channels that are completely generating everything using AI tools, and the quality isn't there yet, but they're still showing up. They're still showing up in suggestions. I don't know why, because you get there and then you click away, right? But actually, some of them have some decent content, but it's just it's hard to watch because it's just some stuck footage and some bad voiceover.
Well, those faceless YouTube channels, they manipulate the
algorithm.
They manipulate the watch time, which is the main fundamental ranking factor for video SEO. So because they manipulate that, if they've got a 20-minute video and about 80% of people are watching it, that's going to outrank anything else but they earn more through AdSense rather than anything else. But
yeah. So that's like the. I guess that's what I think of when I think of like AI created videos, but I think that what you're talking about is going to be a whole other.
This is completely different. This is going to be the good. If you post an image online, which is an infographic, the engagement rate is actually a lot higher because it's easier for people to digest infographics than it is almost anything else. This is, kind of like that side of things where the characters are going to be animated. The footage, if you want a spaceman in space, it will be a high detail footage of a man floating, and if you want them in a penguin costume, floating in a penguin costume. I don't know if you've played around with AI art or image generators yet.
Yeah, I played with that.
Yes. Yeah. So and again, it's going to be down to the prompts that you put in, but that is something I'm really excited about because that takes like the last thing that I can't truly automate in my business to automation in my business, and I'm excited for that.
Which actually Jasper has like that tool built into it as well.
Yeah, personally, I feel like they've not really developed that as well as the writer. So they were charging,
I think.
Yeah. So I use no code to build my own image generator, which is considerably cheaper, and I get much better outputs from it. They've got one. What they need to do is integrate that into the chat feature of Jasper. So then when you ask Jasper, or the boss mode, the long form editor, so when you you can ask it to pull in some images for this, and it's actually in a full document for you.
But I think it is interesting for people who are not tech savvy, who just want a one-stop shop for their AI needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously I'm sure they're going to develop it more as well. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's take Adobe stock photos, for example. They charge something like £40 to £50 per image that they sell the licensing for.
Yeah.
Now you can just say, if you're a food blogger, for example, you can literally just say, hey, create, if you're showcasing a pie recipe, create an image, a high detailed image of a pie on a plate in a really nice kitchen of a lovely family eating it, make it photorealistic, and bang, you've got a royalty-free image that's inspired by some of the best artists online, but you can use it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you get the rights to that image that's produced by
very much so.
Yeah, it's a lot of potential there, and definitely that's one of the big pain points actually for content creators, is to find, especially when you're writing content, to like find something to illustrate that. So that's has lots of potential. Well, we've touched on a lot here. I've learned a lot, and I think our viewers have too. So thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Marty, tell us where can we find more information about you if people want to follow you? Where do they find you?
So you can find me on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@Marty Englander. You can find me on TikTok. That's Mr. Online Reviewer. I know, cringe, but sometimes catchy is catchy. You can find me on my website, martyenglander.com, or you can just type in Marty Englander on your web browser.
ChatGPT.
Yes. But it's just just type my name in on Google and you'll see all the stuff come up.
Excellent. And of course, we'll put links to all those things in our show notes that go along with this.
Thank you. I appreciate
episode. That. All right. Well, thank you again. And thanks to everybody for listening in. For more perspectives on global content marketing, be sure to check out veracontent.com/mix. And if you'd like to get in touch with us or have any interesting topic for an upcoming episode, feel free to reach out at mix@veracontent.com, and keep tuning into the podcast for more perspectives on topics related to global content creation. See you next time. Bye-bye.